Good morning. How is everybody? I hope they're doing great. I hope everybody's doing great. Good morning, Mike and Arlen, our Philippine journey. And this is, I think, an important video. I really and truly do. I think that it is something that we should all pay attention to. I think it's the beginning of what we might be seeing in the future. I think it applies to expats just like it applies to nationals. In fact, it's not uncommon. Yeah, we had received a video or a comment in the past that said, well, when they apply these rules and laws to Filipinos, then I'll worry about it, or I'll do something, or, why won't they? Well, this is an instance where it's happening. So we're going to tell you a little bit about this vlogger that absolutely got arrested. We're going to tell you some ideas about it, and then we're going to talk about it and pay attention to everything in the comment section. So for now, we're going to skip the comment sections to give you some ideas. And then in the comment section, we'll apply it. So what does it boil down to? Well, this vlogger was nabbed for cyber libel a couple of days ago. All right. Cyber libel. Now, I want you to there's some important things here. I want you to pay attention to the details and the words. It's all important. Okay? So, who's this blogger? Well, this blogger is TG, 2.5 million subscribers on Facebook alone. Thailand girl, TG. And this is the release from the police department. A 28-year-old vlogger was arrested here Friday morning for cyber libel charges, police said. An earlier version of the story said was arrested Saturday morning. A report from the city police station headed by said that a joint police team from the city and Davao City conducted an operation to arrest her name, popularly known as TG or Thailand Girl. The suspect was arrested at 11:56 a.m. at his residence in Barangay Morales in the city. So-and-so was charged with violation of online libel under the Philippine Republic Act 1017 or the Cyber Crime Prevention Act of 2012. All right? And I want you to pay attention. Remember I said you got to pay attention to the words here. His case was lodged as a criminal case. This is not a civil case. The judge developed presiding over the regional trial, issued a warrant, recommended a bail bond of 48,000 pesos. Pretty cheap, huh? Well, apparently there are multiple charges, but what we need to look at first, okay, is what is cyber libel? In the Philippines, cyber libel is the act of communicating libel, which involves making false and defamatory statements about someone that harms their reputation through a computer system or any other similar means. It extends the concept of traditional libel to the digital realm. I want you again to pay attention to the words here. Defamatory. Okay? So what are the key elements here? Well, a defamatory imputation. The statement must impute a crime, vice, defect, or any act that extends to cause dishonor, discredit, or contempt of the person. So in other words, reaction channels, people that are doing entertainment channels, people that are saying stuff about other people. I'll give you an example. An example would be, I don't believe that person is telling the truth. That's not libel. All right, that's not dishonest. That's your opinion. But when it's followed by the statement that says he's a liar, I don't believe he's telling the truth, he's a liar, that is then defamatory. That's a false statement unless you can prove otherwise. The statement must be communicated to a third person, meaning it is read or heard by someone other than. So putting it on social media, right? Identity of the person defamed. The person must be identifiable. In other words, you can't say, I know this person was talking about me, but they weren't. Or you can't prove it. All right? They have to reasonably deduce their identity. All right? So expats, you had better watch your asses. Some of you guys are either borderline. There are expat channels that are absolutely borderline or actually crossing the line on their reactions and reviewing other channels and everything else. I've had multiple instances where I've had trolls tell lies about me. All I have to do is then refer them to the Department of Justice, file a case. I don't need an attorney. I don't need to do anything. They're breaking criminal law. And because they're breaking criminal law, and because it is a Republic Act that defends people in the Philippines from this, you don't even need to hire a lawyer. All you have to do is convince the Department of Justice that they're guilty of this. Finally, malice. There must be malice in the publication, which means the statement was made with the knowledge of its falsity or a reckless disregard of the truth. Yes, reckless disregard for the truth. All right? So, Philly, I see your comment in there, Philly. Yeah, you're trying to get me in trouble already. Why don't you give us some examples? I'll get to these. And it has to go through. So I think what's next difference is that Cyber Libel is the digital version of libel. And it actually carries a higher degree of punishment than regular libel. The penalties are as in there. You can go back and review this, but it goes and it says that it's on existing platforms. So Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, all of those, they all fall in there. But here is what's in getting more interesting and what we'll discuss. All right? A defamatory statement is a false statement of fact that harms the reputation of an individual or entity. Remember, I said you have to pay attention to the words. This is the definition of defamatory statement. It must be published, all right, and cause injury or damage to the subject's reputation. All right? So if you say, this guy moved this girl in to boom her, and he's paying her, and in return he's getting boom, and then in turn you don't know that. You don't know for a fact. You haven't seen it. They haven't posted it. They didn't say, hey, I'm getting laid just because I'm paying her to live here. Well, guess what? You're guilty. Now, here's a more detailed breakdown, and here's where it becomes more important. The statement must be untrue. Opinions, even if hurtful, are generally not considered defamatory. In other words, you can say, I don't believe him. I don't believe what he's saying, unless they imply false facts. So in other words, I don't believe she's just living there. That's a transactional relationship. Well, you don't know that, all right? You have no idea whether that's true unless they've come out and said it. Philly, I am going to get to you. Oh, he is baiting me. Oh, Brian. So anyways, the statement must be damaging to the subject's reputation, causing others to think less of them. So if you're making a statement that says, Mike, you're a big fat toadstool, well, then you are making a statement that makes others think less of me. Not that I give a shit. I really don't. All right. I know I am not God's gift to the world. Then finally, with fault. All right. We're going to skip publication. Most jurisdictions require the statement be made with some degree of fault, such as negligence. That's another key word. Negligence or malice, but negligence meaning you didn't do the research. You don't have the information. You make assumptions. All right? You're making assumptions of what's happening. And that is being negligent. It is negligent for you to think that you are smart enough to know exactly what's going on in the private life of another person. All right? No, Pablo, you can remind me of Dr. Phil. I think he's got a crap load more money than I do though, Pablo. All right. So now we've gone through this, and I'm not going to go into the case. I think Arlene looked at it this morning. She's kind of familiar with this blogger because she's more of a Facebook type of person. Apparently, there's like 12 charges. So I don't know. I don't know anything about the blogger. I don't know anything about the statements. I don't know if the statements were made with respect to government officials, public officials, private individuals. I think only time is going to tell. But this is one of those instances where, we've warned you over the past 6 months. Shit is coming down the pike. It is happening. The government is getting tired of it. They're maybe going after bigger fish to begin with, but eventually they may come after the others. And are you going to want to find yourself in that position? Because one of the things that's going to happen, let's just say you're a reaction channel and you've made reactions and you've made statements and you made assumptions and you've probably also lied. You're not only negligent, but when the Department of Justice gets a hold of that, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to find out who you are. The second thing they're going to do is find out where you live. And the third thing they're going to do is they're going to look at your status, your immigration status. All right? They're going to find out, are you here on a tourist visa? Are you abiding by all the things you can do on a tourist visa? Are you doing everything else that goes along with this? That is something that's going to happen. Now, we can take a look at all kinds of different things, but now you have the specifics of the case. You have the specifics of not the case itself, but the specifics of what's happening. And for you to sit there and not recognize that the government is going after these people, these are criminal charges. This is a criminal case. This is not like you're getting pissed off at your neighbor and you're going to the barangay captain. This is the real deal. And this will drag on forever. I mean, look at Vitali. Vitali is sitting there still in immigration hold. He is still, have you seen a recent photo of him? That guy's lost like 45 pounds. It's an ugly situation. So, let us go and start to take a look at the comment section. We will prop it up like this, and we'll go up to the top, and we'll start to get up with everybody. Ricky Lass. Good morning, Ricky. Thank you for joining us. Good morning, Mike and Arlene from San Francisco. Good morning, Slick Rick. What is up? Let me see if that fits in there. Look at that. Please hit subscribe and hit the like button. We'd certainly appreciate it. Bruce, hello, Mike, listening from Central Florida. I hope it's a beautiful day, that's for sure. Philly, who's trying to bait me like there's no tomorrow. Brian, shame on you. Good morning, how are you? Slick Rick from saying hello. Pablo Chicano. Nice to see you, Pablo. ¿Cómo está? All right. Listening in from Surigao Island. Oh, some of the most recent videos. It just looks beautiful up there. It does. Philam style. Hi, Mike and Arlene from IT Park in Cebu. How's it going in IT? What's the weather like down there in Cebu today? It's gorgeous here this morning. I hope it stays gorgeous. We have a pool party that we're hosting this afternoon, so I hope it stays gorgeous for that. Let's see. Heath McDaniel. Good morning, Heath. How are you? Hope you're doing well. Izzy and Chris are here. Izzy, I just saw either a video or a post that you just recently did, it seems like, I think. Good morning. I hope you're doing well. Let's see here. Philly says, is this a case where two Filipino vloggers are hashing it out? No. I don't know whether, we don't know yet. It hasn't been put out in public as far as we've been able to find who filed the complaint, but it specifically states that complaints, plural, were filed with the Department of Justice for cyber libel. Now, who filed the complaints? That hasn't been pushed out there yet. And it's funny because Arlene knows this vlogger, all right, has watched this vlogger, and it kind of I'm not going to say much because I can't give you an informed opinion, but it reminds me that, she's can be reactionary as well, just like many of the reaction channels you may be familiar with. Bruce Cinder, good morning. Everybody's saying hello to everybody. We're going to skip those. Izzy and Chris, the Philippine cyber libel law is kind of weak. I don't know. I haven't looked at it in a while in depth, but 12 counts, that's a lot. Philly says, Mike, can you give us an example of a vlogger expat who's doing that? I could give you an example, but I won't. I won't give you an example because I'm not going to cause some shit and drama and anything else. We all know who these channels are. There's more than one. Whether they've crossed a line, whether they've gone overboard, whether it'll even matter, who knows? All right? But it's obvious that people are now saying, you know what? You can't lie about me on YouTube or social media. You can't put out a bunch of bullshit about me. You can't do that. People are fighting back about it. They're protecting their reputations. Ricky USA, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Izzy. But you can't file a complaint on someone peeing on the wall of a school for indecent exposure. Let me see here. Wait a minute. I have to reply to this. We have ordered food for the pool party this afternoon, and they just sent me a message to confirm B, C, and D bundles. I will contact you in an hour Apologies. Okay, I apologize. So anyways, yes, we are having a pool party this afternoon. And we have, well, you know what? I'll just tell you the honest truth. Arlene is throwing me a birthday party, and we've invited a bunch of folks, and we're catering it. So you can't file a complaint on someone peeing on the wall of a school for, yes, you can. You absolutely can. Whether anybody will do anything about it is a whole different story. Smoothly, good morning, Lee. How are you? I did not see your video this morning. I did see the other day. I will be watching that later on. But Lee, you know, folks, you should pay attention. Lee's got some great advice for people that need to be taken care of. Phil Amstall, Mike's not taking, no, Mike is not taking the bait. I am not going to take the bait. Philly, what action can you take if the person that is making these defamatory statements doesn't even live in the Philippines? And you know what, Brian? I think that's a great question. What can you do? I think hardly anything. I think nothing. That's my opinion. And we know that some of these reaction channels, they don't reside in the U.S., but there are plenty of reaction channels, drama channels, all right, Jerry Springer channels that do reside here in the Philippines, enough to where we could see what would happen. Would they go after these smaller channels? I don't know. Does that mean we can't say that you are living in your ivory towers, Mike? No, you can say whatever you want. We're you know what? The shit just kind of bounces off of us. We don't care. It is whitish. The building is whitish in color, and it is a tower, and you could, I guess, define it any way you want. So, Tampo proof. Whoa! I guess you saw my previous video about Tampo and childish examples. The example you gave for defamation sounded very similar to what Philippine Antics has been doing lately. It's possible. I don't know. I'm not going to comment on another channel, but it is certainly possible. 66 in the room, 22 minutes. Wow. GD, haven't seen you in a while. Hey, GD, hope you're doing good. Sup, Smooth, how are you? People saying hello. Does this mean I can't say Dr. Mike reminds me of Dr. Phil? Nah, you can. I wish I was like Dr. Phil. That guy's got money to burn. I guarantee you, you know what? His mattress is probably stuffed and padded with $100 bills. He's got plenty of money. I wish I had that kind of money. Pablo says, in the way I talk. Okay. Hitting that thumbs up, Pablo. Thank you. Thank you, people. Is it possible to say, in my opinion, he looks like Uncle Fester or Coach? Sure. That's your opinion. It's not a lie. It's an opinion. Now, if you were to say he looks like Uncle Fester and is related to Uncle, because he's related to Uncle Fester, that would be a lie, because I'm not related to Uncle Fester. So, Pablo just like Maximus. Whoops. There we go. Good morning, Maximus. How are you? Thanks for dropping in. So, Smooth says, according to that man, Mike, you are living in an ivory tower. You know it all and are a rich American. Well, you know what? I don't live in an ivory tower, but I do live in a condominium tower. By definition of what an ivory tower is, its strictest definition is a luxury situation. I guess it might be a luxury situation, although, you know, if you've seen the way some rich Filipino. I mean, Manny Pacquiao lives in a much more luxurious situation than I do. The mayor of Makati lives in a much more luxury. So, I guess that's maybe a matter of opinion. You know it all and are a rich American. Well, I know a lot. That's for sure. I'm 66 years old today. It's my birthday. Today, I am 66 years old, and I've been around the block a few times. So, yeah, maybe, but I don't know it all, that's for sure. Am I rich? No, I'm not rich. I don't care what standard you measure it in. I don't think I consider myself rich, and I think that if you Googled how much is rich financially, I don't think I would qualify, but my life is rich. That's the honest truth. I've traveled all over the world. I'm married to a wonderful woman. I have a wonderful daughter. I have a roof over my head. We put food on the table. That makes me rich as far as I'm concerned. Izzy, smoothly, is it true that Las Vegas is in a tourist slump, or is the media just making something out of nothing? Yeah, that would be interesting. Philly says, do you really think the Philippine government cares about expat vloggers defaming each other? No, I don't think they care, Brian, about expat vloggers defaming each other. But I do think they care about enforcing their laws when they feel it's to their advantage. We all know, it's just like Brian used to be I'm trying to think of the best word, the professional word, corrections person. You know what? Brian used to be, Brian used to be a prison guard, for lack of a better word. I apologize, Brian, if that's beneath the right thing. And Brian will tell you, sometimes you look the other way on the rules. Sometimes you let a few rules, minor rules, go because it's not worth enforcing them. And so that might very well be an instance where the Philippine government is going to look the other way until somebody files with the Department of Justice, and it has to be paid attention to. 70 people in the room, 30 minutes in. That is so great. Our little channel, I can't believe it. Thank you so much. Maximus, it is all a smokescreen, so the population is not paying attention to the Senate not doing their job. It's possible, Maximus. Personally, I've been a little bit disappointed in the news here in the Philippines here recently. I see it focusing too much on too small an area repetitively. I think there's far more news to cover than what's going on. But, then again, I'm not a Filipino, so I can't really speak to that. Prepper, how are you, Prepper? Good to see you. John at My Little World, good morning. How are you? Barry Graham, hello from Ohio. Barry at the DAV National Convention in Las Vegas, DAV. Is that a Disabled Veterans National Convention? I'm not sure. 115 in Las Vegas. Yeah, I don't remember that. I mean, I don't miss that. I don't miss Phoenix being over 110 degrees 3 months out of the year. I don't miss that at all. Maximus says the government should be paying more attention to the graft happening amongst their fellow lawmakers. But no, Maximus, think about it for a minute. The government does need to uphold every law. Don't you think? Don't you think every law is worth upholding? I agree there are important things. Why go after vloggers when there are government officials that do far worse in effort to enrich themselves? Yeah, I'm not a Filipino citizen. I can't give you an answer for that. All right? It's not my spot. But I do see where you're coming from. Hey, bud, missed breakfast at the Reef with you and Brian in the USA, building a nuclear plant. Joe Airy. How you doing, Bailey? You building a nuclear plant? Wait a minute. Now, I stay pretty well abreast of this. I wasn't aware that the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, the NRC, has issued a permit for a new nuclear plant. Is this a university research reactor, or is this one of these mini reactors that are research based? Bailey, tell us a little bit more about that. I'd be interested to know. Maximus, they need to go after the cheat the taxpayers. Well, in America, that's for sure. They won't even go after the VP. Okay, Maximus, I'm not going to be repeating that. I am not going after that, but I'm certainly welcome to repeat your opinion. Paul Henderson, good morning, Paul. Good evening or morning to you. What kind of health insurance can you buy when you visit for a month? Sorry for, there's all kinds of travel insurance out there. However, you may want to contact Michael Onstead, and I will put his information in our About section. I owe Michael a reply email. He is putting together a plan for our Lynn that I've asked him for to see, and I'm sure Michael would be able to help you. So that's who I would suggest. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Yeah, I wasn't really supposed to be saying anything about my birthday, but I did just because I'm a happy guy today. All right. Well, happy birthday, Mike. Did you order a lechon? No, I did not order lechon. I did not. Okay. And you know something? I have gotten permission from every girl and guy. All right. I've already talked to each and every one of them and told them I'm going to be making a YouTube video of the pool party. And do I have your permission to put you in? And they've all agreed. So that being said, where we're having the party, the birthday party, ... All right. Where we're having it has their own restaurant and rules, and I can't cater in. Well, I could cater in a lechon, but I'm using their catering service, and it's not a big deal. Popeye, oh my God, Popeye won. Wow, I feel sort of privileged to have Popeye show up in our live stream or even comment on a video. Thank you so much, Popeye. How's things? Aren't you still in Florida, if I remember correctly? It's good. Thank you so much for dropping in, Popeye. Really appreciate it. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday, happy. Let's just skip that. Okay. Kyle Esteban. Hola, y'all. Well, hola, Kyle. ¿Cómo está? I hope you're doing well. Skip it all. You know what? I bet I got the name right this time. Mike, if I had your money, I would burn mine. No, you wouldn't. You know what? We're not rich. We are just, what's the best word to say? We're very conscientious of what we spend and how we spend it. That's probably the best way to say it. I would not say we are rich. That's for sure. Maximus. Philippine Antics blocked me again from their channel for always correcting them when they say something false. They don't like being corrected. They always want to be right. Well, first off, I can tell you, Maximus, bear with it. Heidi and George blocked me at least twice over the years over misunderstandings, and they unblocked me. And I think given time, they'd probably put you on probation as well. I'm probably still slightly on probation, but you know what? YouTubers will do that. Phil Am Style. Mike, the weather is great here in IT. We'll be getting some breakfast. I look forward to the Tuesday weekly morning Expat at the Ayala Central Block Mall. Nice. I didn't know that there was an Expat meeting weekly there in the morning. That's something to consider. Maybe Arlen and I will take a trip down to Cebu if we get bored at some point. Philly, Frank Battaglia has been attacking people for years and years. But wait a minute, Philly. Wasn't Frank in immigration hold or jail or something like that's a question for a while? And then didn't he get deported, or isn't he back in the U.S.? I don't know. Life begins at 66. You know what, CB? I tell you what, CBGB. Today is the first day and the first chapter of the rest of my life, just like it is for each and every one of you. I'm grateful to be alive. I've lived past the expectation of my doctors from years ago, and I'm grateful. I have a great wife. I have a great kid, and I have food. And other than the fact that we did have to work something out, the place that we're having doesn't have, the place we're having this pool party, they have their own restaurant, but they don't have certain dishes. And there are going to be more Filipino girls at this party than there will be men. And because of that, if you've ever been around Filipinas and Filipinos, when they drink and party, all right, they like to have what's called pica pica, all right? And pica pica can be like fried chicken skin, chicken feet, grilled fish. Some of those items, especially the chicken feet, are not available at that restaurant. So Arlene has made chicken feet. She's made grilled bangus, milkfish. She's made fried chicken skin. And she's also made a couple desserts as well. So we'll see. All right. Arstel, good morning, Arstel. How are you? Arstel, I want to let you know, I have thought maybe as another new hobby to add to my minor amount of hobbies that we will. I'm sorry. I'm getting messages left and right from people. I apologize. Arstel, I'm sorry. So, I think I'm going to try and start to shoot pool again. One of my subscribers, a really good guy, gave me a pool cue, and I'm going to give it a try again. I'm going to have to try and relearn English and everything else, and then readjust for not having perfect eyesight. But I think I'm going to do it. Skip It All, happy birthday, Mike. Thank you, Skip It All. Ricky, same age as me. Wow. Bruce, happy birthday, youngster. I say youngster because I am 7 years older. Smooth Lee says Las Vegas is truly in a tourist slump. Lee, have you ever been to, what is it? My favorite restaurant in Vegas. Now, Arlene's favorite restaurant is the Bacchanal buffet at Caesars. But my favorite is the Golden Steer been around for ages. It's in a crappy little strip center area, and it's expensive as crap, but it is some of the best food I've ever had in Vegas. Have you ever been there, Lee? It's not a place you would go often. It is, there you go, corrections officer. That's how I should have addressed Philly. Corrections officer, then prison janitor. Oh. Paul, I wish Brian would go back to Clark and report on the status of the old Clark Hospital. Well, maybe you can get him to get off his ass and leave Surigao, but I doubt it. I think you're going to have to wait for Hannah Grace to graduate and for him to have a good reason to come back up there. Brian says, get it right, Mike. We're overpaid babysitters. There you go. Disabled American Veterans Convention. There you go. All right. So, Scott, it is my opinion that the Philippines news is starting to mimic the U.S. news agencies. Scott, it's quite possible. They are certainly focusing much more on political situations than others. But let's get back on track here for just a second. What do you think about the Philippine government? This is a criminal investigation, not civil. The Department of Justice has gone after a Philippine vlogger, filed multiple cases of cyber libel. All right. Is this going to have any impact on other vloggers, especially these expat reaction channels, these expat Jerry Springer shows, these expats? Do you think that's going to happen? Do you think that they're going to be held to the standard to quit lying? Because they are full, a lot of these are full of lies. Is that going to stop? Or do you think it'll have any impact on these trolls that blatantly lie about other people? I don't know. I see less people here. Yeah, I see less people. Less people in Vegas, probably. Redo on Palusad. I don't understand what that means, Bailey. I don't. But let me know. Reaper, I'd like to know what this person said to get arrested. None of the news articles say specifically. No, you're right. Report 12/3100. All right. You are correct. None of the reports we have seen, we have not been able to see. Okay. Anything that's, says this is the statements that they made. And I don't know that we will ever see it, to be honest with you. This is a big vlogger with a lot of sponsorships and sponsors. She, he, because I'm not sure which pronoun they go by. They have a lot of money. They have a considerable amount of money. Now, they don't have as much money as the Philippine government's Department of Justice has, but they have a lot. He also has a very small following. I think it was some big, not something petty. Let me reread that. I'd like to know what this person said to get arrested. None of the news articles say specifically. He also has a very small following. He's got 2.5 million Facebook subscribers. That's not a small following, Reaper. Maybe he has YouTube. I didn't look to see if he has YouTube and what's on it. Barry says $33 for a cheeseburger at the Paris Casino. No thanks. $8 for a Pepsi. You know what? That just goes to show you Americans have money to burn. The economy must be doing great. Voglet Electric Generating Plant. You know what? I didn't necessarily mean that that was a nuclear power plant being built in the U.S. You're right, Maximus. Could very well be. George and Heidi are great. It's an entertainment channel. If that's what you like and you enjoy it, more power to you. They just need to be cautious. And they are, to the best of my knowledge. I mean, again, I'm not going to talk about other channels, but I am going to say you need to be careful. They need to be careful. Everybody that's doing a reaction channel needs to be careful. Finally, I'm not the oldest in the group. Paul's 78. My life started a while ago. New York governor announced plans to build a nuclear power plant last June. Yeah, the governor can announce it, but the Nuclear Regulatory Commission has to approve it. And to the best of my knowledge, and I follow this pretty tightly, the last approved plans, all right, construction plans, in other words, design plans of a U.S. approved nuclear power plant were more than 15 years ago by General Electric. There hasn't been, the Nuclear Regulatory Committee has to approve the actual design plan and then the construction plan and then whatever. The governor can say whatever they want, and they're not going to build. Well, you know what? I mean, if they can get it done, they can get it done, but who knows? My house at Bolino got messed up pretty bad in the storm too. We had 4,000 U.S. damage. Yeah, Bolino. There's been some significant weather that came through, Bailey. I'm sorry to hear that. I really and truly am. No need to be drinking for the fried chicken skin. Yeah, you know what? I don't think, I don't know, is chicharron fried chicken skin or fried pig skin? I don't know. I'm sure Arlene probably heard me and she'll send me a message in a minute. You can't see Arlene. She's right behind me. Arlene is literally on the other side of this green screen, running on the treadmill and lifting weights. So unless she's listening to her music with her AirPods plugged in, she'll let me know. Anybody see that Chinese Coast Guard shit that got hit by the PLA Navy? I guess China gets their Coast Guard ships and warships off of Temu. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think they get them from Alibaba, don't they? I mean, it's COD from Alibaba. You don't have to pay in advance. You can get it you can get a COD. They broke ground in Kernmer, Wyoming for a natrium nuclear. Okay, so that's different. Natrium nuclear reactor is much different than a fission reactor. Let's see. All right, so Arlene is, she's right there behind you. You people can't see her, but she's there. Pigskin for chicharron, and I'm not using the treadmill. Okay, she's just lifting weights. I don't hear the treadmill running. So, what do I think? Skip it all. I don't go into my previous history any longer. It's in previous videos. What do I think of the healthcare system in the PI? Well, the healthcare system in the Philippines needs a lot of help. It really and truly does. You can't fund research. You can't fund charity. You can't fund all the things that you need without money. And the Philippines just doesn't have it. Now, I've had several procedures here in the Philippines. I've had 2 cardiac caths. I've had 3 cardiac stents put in. And I watched them do it. I was awake for both of them, and they did a fine job. All right. The guy didn't have any trouble whatsoever selecting the right play. All right. We talked about catheter usage, iodine dosage, contrast dosage, contrast material. I mean, the cardiac cath lab that I was in would make the front cover for Siemens catalog. It was their top of the line cardiac cath lab. So, I mean, there's good stuff and then there's bad stuff. Would I have a coronary bypass here in the Philippines? I doubt it. If it was extreme, if I immediately needed it, would I have an aortic valve replacement? No. Would I do radiation therapy? Yeah. I do radiation therapy at like St. Luke's or Asian Doctors or a couple of other places. Would I do chemotherapy? Yeah. And only because those things are so standardized. They really and truly are. You aim a beam of radiation at a particular area. The formulas are all built in to figure out how to dose it. Would I have a brain tumor removed in the Philippines? No, I would not. Would I let my daughter get treated for lymphoma or an astrocytoma or glioma or anything like that in the Philippines? No. Broken arm, broken leg, hip replacement, knee replacement. We know plenty of people that have had those done very, very well. We know people that have had hip replacements, knee replacements, shoulder replacements, quadricep tendon tear replacement and repair. Trying to think of other stuff that personal friends of ours have gone through. And they all did well. They all did fine. So, Michael, the best place in Las Vegas is just don't go. Oh, no, Michael. Arlen and I used to love going to Vegas. Such a quick jump from Phoenix. Seems America is building nuclear reactors again to power America. We'll see. We will see. Scott Smiley, in my opinion, and I think this should become new preface phrases. Yeah, it certainly is something to pay attention to. 67 in the room. Wow. That is a lot for our little channel. Reaper, I didn't know that. Thanks for clarifying. I looked them up on Instagram and saw very little followers. I was wrong. You know what, Reaper, I don't know. I don't even know anything about this person. I just know that I saw in the news, it was Facebook, 2.5 million. I looked it up on Facebook. This vlogger has 2.5 million. They even blogged. This vlogger actually vlogged them doing the mugshot. You can see it, shameless plug to TG, all right, to her channel. You can actually see the video on her channel. It's kind of interesting. Skip it all. Surprised about the nuclear plant in Wyoming. Have a hard time thinking this is a power producer considering the amount of low sulfur coal in the region. Saying this as an ex-Wyoming. Yeah, but it's not. There's enough coal in the United States to supply it for 100 years plus. It's the idea of getting cleaner energy, I guess. And then there is, 70 in the room at 53 minutes, not even an hour yet. Tremendous. There is a lot of, arguments about, is nuclear energy any cleaner? Because you have nuclear waste. All right. You got to do something with it. But yeah, I do understand what you mean, Skip it all. Orstel, that's great. Hope to see you out there. Pool keeps me occupied, gets me out of the house. Plus, it allows me to do something with my father. Yeah, isn't it great to be able to do something with your dad, Orstel? I love doing stuff with my daughter. I really do. Ruby is here. Oh, my God, Ruby. Ruby, if you're still in the channel, I made a video yesterday about Tampo, and I said, I believe it's childish behavior, and I believe it's bullshit. And I believe that it is, they say it's a cultural thing. Now, for those of you that don't know Ruby is a highly well-educated, degreed engineer from University of Philippines, Dillman, if I'm not mistaken. I could be responsible. I could be wrong. But she is a legitimate engineer. Now, she is married to an Australian guy, lives in Australia, works in Australia, has a home here that they're going to retire to. That being all set aside, Ruby, do you see Filipino professionals having tampo with each other? In other words, if you're an engineer and you're in a room with another engineer and they say something to piss you off, are you just going to square off to your corner? I don't believe that exists. I believe that professional adults don't practice childish bullshit. Could be wrong, but Ruby, if you're here, please let us know what you mean about that. What do you think about that? Good morning, Ruby. Ruby, Bataan nuclear power plant was designed and built by, yes, it was. It's a GE. It's what's called a PWR. All right. So nuclear power plants in America, the only ones licensed that I know of, and things could have changed in the past 5 years or so, but the only nuclear power plants in America licensed to produce consumable electricity are either PWRs, which are pressurized water reactors, or BWRs, boiler water reactors, okay? And BWRs are like the original type stuff. You won't see a modern, although none of them are modern. I don't think there's been a nuclear power plant built in the United States that generates commercial electric in 20 years. But in fact, many of them, a couple of them have been decommissioned. With that being said, PWRs and BWRs. Now, the natrium is a whole different situation. Slick Rick, good day. Arstel. When I enlisted in the Navy, I was in the nuclear power program. I was medically disqualified when in school, but allowed to change grades to electronics warfare. Wow. So you would have been a nuke ET. I had some friends that were nuke ETs. I knew some that went on, and I had one that worked for me. She was a nuke ET in the Navy, and then got out and went to nuclear medicine school, and I employed her as a nuclear medicine technologist. There were also the health physics techs in the nuke power program. Palisades nuke shut down one. Yeah, I believe Turkey Point shut down more than one. I'm not going to go into it, but I have a history with nuclear power plants. Chicharron can also be made of flour to mimic the crunchy fried skin. There's sometimes a chicharron harina. Okay, so does that mean there's no chicken skin in it at all? It's just flour maybe and flavored? I don't know, Ruby. Birthday greetings to you, Mike. By the way, as Arlen organized with Candy Palace Management about your... we are not... You know what, Ruby? You'll have to watch the video. I don't want people... I'm not saying where it's going to be because I don't want people dropping in later this afternoon. So, but we'll talk about it later, Ruby. That's the best way to say it. Palisades nuke built in the 60s, closed 2 years ago, now being repiped. Yep. And they do. Todd Tomino, North Phoenix to Angeles, and everywhere in between, Todd. Everywhere in between. I mean, we traveled all over the U.S. before moving to the Philippines. I traveled all over the U.S. long before knowing Arlen. Arlen traveled all the way through the U.S. Arlen actually drove, I was in the passenger side, from North Phoenix to Key West and back. I wanted her to get a look of the America from the ground, and we always enjoy that. With nuclear energy available in the U.S., does that mean electricity is cheap? In many places, it's cheaper than it is here. I think. I don't know. You know what, Ruby? I haven't paid an electric bill in the U.S. in years. So I would not be good. Maybe some of the others in the chat would know. Power is not cheap here. I live in a rural area and not only do I have to pay for the power, I have to pay for the transmission fees using a co-op for power with no other options. Yeah. It's not cheap by any way, shape, or means. And there are co-ops, there's just all kinds of stuff. Skip it all. And Ruby, oh my God, God bless you. I almost love you. I love Arlen, but you're great. Tampo doesn't exist in professional environment. If you have an issue with a work colleague, then you go to HR, file a complaint. None of the so-called cold, silent treatment. Thank you, Ruby. Thank you so much. Tampo is a childish action. Period. End of story. If it were a purely culturally acceptable thing, and there are many people that say it is, and there are many, it is really a culture of childish actions. It is nothing special. Scott Ruby, I hear that Alcatel out of France is courting the U.S. administration. Yeah. Now, in France, they do several different things, but their most prominent reactor assembly is what's called a salt reactor. So it says Baton was a Westinghouse electric company, but it was Westinghouse, but I thought it was a GE design because GE didn't build nuclear power plants, but Westinghouse did. I could be wrong, Maximus. You'll be able to Google it very quickly. If the reactor design was General Electric, and remember at one time, I think GE and Westinghouse were co-companies. General Electric, Westinghouse. So, that's something else. But General Electric did design and Westinghouse did the building of it, if I'm not mistaken. In the U.S., we have crackling. Yeah, they have crackling here. Same thing, Scott. Actually, they have bags of crackling. It's called crackling, believe it or not. Skip it all. I was a boiler tech while in the Navy and was offered nuke school to re-up, did not take the bait. But my son went to be a nuke while he served, spent time as a bubblehead. So, did he do the nuclear power health business? All right, so Santa Barbara had a big nuke program. And I'm trying, you know what? I can't, I don't know. Crackling is pork skin, fried skin. Yeah. Yep. Both GE and Westinghouse gave post-proposal for the baton. The presidential committee chose GE, but Marcus overruled them and chose Westinghouse. Well, either way, it's been sitting unattended for so many years, it's worthless. It's absolutely worthless. Ruby says, here in Australia, we don't have nuclear power plants, but our electricity is way cheaper than Philippines. 1 month summer bill in the Philippines will be 3 months here in Australia. Wow. Todd Tamano, thank you for dropping in, Tom. U.S. Navy retired. There's a lot of retired U.S. Navy here in our channel. Arstel, I was a nuke machinist mate, went to NMA school at Great Lakes. My ASVAB score qualified me for any jobs. The Navy allowed me to switch to electronics. Neat. Nice. Now you're retired and happily living in the Philippines with your family and your dad. It's great. Power in Florida is about 17 cents kilowatt. In some places, the rate as low as 0.102, as much as 0.42 in Hawaii. Philippines is about 25. So Bruce has done a little bit of research on it. Skip it all. They no longer have boiler techs in the Navy any longer. All will converted over to machinist mates. Wow. The ugly tourist, James, has dropped in. Good morning, James, and ding, the ugly tourist. You can catch his channel as well. Although you have to watch out for James and ding. He has a big ego, so he says. He says he has ego issues. We'll find out. Although, I got to tell you, I'm disappointed. Neither CJ Abroad nor I made it to the Ugly Tourist top 10 vloggers. I guess we're just not important. We don't do a good enough job. In Detroit, Michael says in Detroit, they have fried football skins. What's a fried football skin? You must be being sarcastic and I don't get it, Michael. I'm sorry. Macklin Cracklin is the fried skin with some fat and meat. Chicharron is just fried skin. Okay. Skip it all. My son worked at the nuke plant in Clifton, Illinois. He quit that. Now works for Google in their server rooms maintaining. So I had a summer job as what is generally called a generator jumper. I've been to Turkey Point. I've been to TMI. I've been to, Palisade? San Onofre. I've been in those. One of my summer jobs was working with a non-destructive testing and evaluation company that did NDT on nuclear power plants, and essentially they hired me and they would pay me for 4 months for about 15 days work, because after 15 days I would have absorbed my annual dose of allowed of radiation. I would be jumping into these generators that were down for maintenance, placing x-ray films, and they would then have a guy that would do the actual x-ray, or we actually had a portable linear accelerator for doing that. You'll do anything to pay for college. You'll do anything for college well, not anything, but you take what you can get, and they paid well for that. BT and Betty, how you doing? Howdy, BT. BT's building a house. Check out his channel. John Allen, good morning, Mike. Retired USMC. Yeah, John. Semper Fi, although I was never a Marine, that's for sure. I don't think I would have ever made it as a Marine. That's all I can say. Ruby, if I'm not wrong, Australia has large coal deposits and export large amounts to China for electricity. Okay. The Ugly Tourist, we only had 8. You were in the top 10. Well, I didn't even make the top 8, and neither did CJ. So our objective this year is to make the top 8 on the Ugly Tourist favorite vloggers, which I doubt I will. All right, it's no big deal. There are so many people that do so much better job than we do. Augusta County, Virginia is 14 cents a kilowatt hour, 5% lower than the average electricity in Virginia, 14.42. Yeah, electricity goes. Pigskin football. Yeah, but I mean, what's fried footballs? I don't know. I must have missed something. Oh, footballs are made from pork skins. Okay. I bet that's hard to get a hold of. Scott says he lives in Augusta. So what do you think? Are there going to be reaction channels that may curb their delivery once the news gets out about the Philippines government going after Cyber Libel? And we don't know the full details of what this person said that was libelous or defamatory or a lie outright. We don't know any of that. But on the surface, it certainly looks like people need to be careful about what they imply, not just what they say, but what they imply. And, you know, in a civil case, you go after, defamation, and you prove that by damages. Okay? You go after damages. In a criminal case, they don't even give a shit about damages. They could care less. You either broke the law or you didn't break the law. You either lied or you didn't. You either misled people and caused harm by misleading them or you didn't. I think it's going to get some attention. The pigskin name comes from the early days of the sport when pig bladders were used as the inflated core. Yeah, that I knew. What kind of NDT, phase array, X-ray, or different? I worked for a company called Southwest Research out of Texas. Actually, I worked for a company that was funded by Southwest Research called J.A. Jones. And I didn't do any of the NDT. I was I was X-ray, I was radiation fodder, okay? We had a homemade state-of-the-art linear accelerator with a flexible waveguide that we could use in the really high rad areas. We used a pig with cobalt 60 in the low, doing x-rays of pipes. We had guys that did dye penetrant. We had guys that did magnetic. We had guys that did ultrasound. We did it all of it. But I was only involved in carting equipment in, carting equipment out, placing x-ray film and retrieving it. And then once I absorbed my annual limit, which took, less than 15 days each time, I did that 3 summers in a row, I got my full pay for the full year. Not the full year, but the contract of 90 days. It was a good deal. And they paid for transportation, housing, food, everything. They were a pretty high-tech situation. Michael, yes, we do include export of LPG to Japan, Australia being an old continent rich in coal deposits, iron ore, and other minerals. Yep, Ruby's just smart. Thank you for dropping in, Ruby. Scott, damn, Mike. You know what? When you're a poor college student, all right, when you're living off of ramen noodles and boxed Kraft macaroni and cheese and tuna, canned tuna was so cheap back then, you'll do anything over summer break and over spring break. I skipped spring break every year. Except for when I went my senior year in undergraduate school, I went on spring break once. All the other years, my spring break were jobs, making money, tuition, books, lab fees. I just was not born with a silver spoon in my mouth. All right. And by any way, my parents were very much middle to lower middle class financially. They struggled. They worked. That's it. Horse, Turkey Point, Florida. I had a cousin that did electrical maintenance. Yeah, I've been to Turkey Point. I was in Turkey Point back when they were developing the plans we did the inspection on the steam generators at Turkey Point that caused them to actually have to replace the steam generators later. Hello, Shiner. Well, just spent July at Candy Palace. Yeah, John, we live here at Candy. We love it. The people are great. The staff is great. We don't have any issues. Although I did have an issue with an air conditioner this past week. We have had some problems. Air conditioner ran and it was cooling fine, but there were some issues. It took 3 trips from the aircon guys to finally get to the bottom of the problem. And you know what? I say get to the bottom of the problem. We think we're at the bottom of it and have solved it, but we'll find out. Arstel says, did my 20, retired. My father retired as a Master Chief after almost 30. He's been going to the Philippines since Vietnam. That's probably why he retired here. Yeah, there's a ton of those, a ton of it. Skip it all. I worked at many power plants across the country, waste to energy, gas boiler plants, gas turbines, air separation units, liquid O2. Wow. See, you're way out of my wheelhouse. All right. I'm as mechanically inclined as the smartest monkey. That would be it. Rick, Slick Rick, Mike, you and Arlen are in my top 5. Well, thank you, Slick Rick. We appreciate it. We really do. Yep, that is one thing U.S. is pissed at Australia about. Let them be pissed. It's not it's the least of their worries. That's for sure. Doc is a bit dense with football being a pigskin and pigskin being fried to make chicharron, thus fried football. No, I get it now. I understand. I'm just not as quick as you are, Maximus. There we go. I don't have that young mind like you do. Why piss off the Philippine government? Just don't do it. Well, I don't know that that's what they did, Scott. I don't know that the vlogger pissed off the government. I just know that somebody filed charges with the Department of Justice based on a Philippine law. And that then involves the Philippine government, the Department of Justice, to decide whether to pursue a lawsuit. And apparently they are going to pursue it because, or legal action, because they arrested them. Right, fried football skins. Okay. Ugly tourist. Scott, I agree. Why would you even have the urge to piss off a country that you're a guest in? People do it all the time. Why would you even have the urge to piss off other expats when they live right down the street from you? Maybe that might be those guys in Dumaguete have pissed each other off more than once. People in Angeles City, vloggers in Angeles City have pissed each other off more than once. It happens. What can I say? Southwest, SWEPCO, Southwest, I don't know. It was SWRI back in those days. Maybe it's different now. Southwest Research Institute. They're out of, I want to say they're out of San Antonio, if I can remember correctly. LOL, fried footballs. Chicharron is available with fat and meat. My grandmother used to make it while rendering it for grease. I get it here occasionally. It goes good with beer. I'm not a big drinker, but I will tell you, on a hot day, there is nothing better than an ice cold Stella and Stella Artois, my favorite beer. And quite honestly, chicharron goes well with that. I have done it as much as I hate to admit it. It's pork skins. I can't speak too loudly. I was an explosives tech wearing a flame suit, taking samples from magazines. Yeah, you know what? More power to you, and thank you for your service, Scott. Mike, what's your personal view on cloning body parts to replace damaged organs? There's been a hold on that. I don't find anything unethical about that. I truly do not. And you know what? I catch a ration of shit about it. I don't think, quite frankly, if you could clone the human body without a brain, let's say you could clone the human body, replace the brain with a pump that kept it going, all right, nurtured it, and raise that human body as replacement parts, I think it's great. There are millions of people. I guarantee you, if we had enough fresh replacement limbs, the research would be done for limb reattachment, all right? There's just not enough out there for the research to pay off to do it. Why bother to make a mechanical limb when you could grow a leg and then surgically, functionally reattach it? The research would be there if we had the resources. There's no doubt in my mind about it. That's just like nobody would do the research for any drug that there isn't a sustainable population that would use that drug, all right, or vaccine, anything like that. I don't know. I am not against it whatsoever. I replaced steam generator. Oh, wow, Bailey. We were part of the team that did the ISGCC, what was that? ISGC, interstation granules, IS something granular crack and corrosion tests, the ultrasounds on the steam generators that were originally at Turkey Point, and found a bunch of defects. My room was on the 3rd floor with the railroad track workers and their pile drivers. Oh, John, no. We're on the opposite side, and we don't hear anything. Although Arlene swears to God as she felt the room vibrating the other day. And if she says so, I believe her. But I've never felt it or heard it. Horace, I thought that truth was ultimate defense in libel cases, but in the PI, if the truth hurts someone's feelings, well, no. Liable, cyber libel, as I pointed out earlier, Horace, let me see if I can find that. Okay. Defamatory. All right. You know what? You'd have to go back, Horace. I apologize. You'll have to go back, watch the video. But it doesn't matter if it hurts somebody's feelings. But if it's a lie, like it's okay if you want to say, you know what, that expat or that guy is living with that girl, and the only reason he lives with her and she lives with him for his money, and he lives with her for sex. Well, guess what? You can say he lives with her, and you can say she lives with him. That's another thing. How do you know that sex and money are a part of it? At that point, that becomes defamatory, and that's part of the Cyber Libel law. Cyber Libel law includes defamatory statements. All right? That's like, you know what? That vlogger said this in their blog, and I don't believe it. That's your opinion, and it's totally legal. Oh, that blogger said this in their blog, and I don't believe them, and they're a liar. That is defamatory. Calling them a liar is defamatory unless you can prove it. Unless you can prove it. And that's what these people need to recognize. Bailey, Hardy Road contractor is hard work, feast or famine. Depending on the time of year, good money through and good benefits of union. Yeah. Skip it all. Smiley, you can't speak too lightly because you probably can't hear. Sorry, bud. Usually people with hearing deficits speak louder because they're trying to hear themselves. Skip it all. Built roads, sidewalks, curbs, and plowed and salted roads in winters. Steady work in local government jobs. Yeah. I can't claim service. I did it as a civilian. When I did try and sign up, they looked at my x-rays. Okay. You just described the movie Coma with Michael Douglas. Old movie. Yeah, Michael, you know what? I remember the name. I'm sure I watched the movie. I don't remember it. But I don't see anything unethical about that. A lot of people do. We breed pigs, cows, chicken, deer, bison, just to slaughter them and eat them. Why can't we clone and breed body parts and humans? I mean, because there's so much we need. We need the skin for burn victims. We need the limbs for people that have been in horrible accidents. We need the bones, the bone marrow for lymphoma patients and other blood disease patients. We need all kinds of parts, all right? The one thing I would have a problem with is if you were to clone an individual or a person or a body, create a living body with a brain. If you create a living body with a brain, then I believe you might be crossing the line of consciousness, all right? Because we just don't know enough. We don't know enough. So if they don't have a brain, the argument is easy to make. They're not a person. You can't make an argument that they have a soul or they have feelings or anything like that if they don't have a brain. Ruby, I also see nothing wrong with that. I can always use a third arm. There you go, Rick. Scott, no stolen valor. I did do background with OPM, DOD, and DOE. Nice, Scott. Paul says, I live in hot Texas. My electric bill this month was $500. I can sympathize with you, Paul. I can tell you in Phoenix, I have had a $1,200 electric bill years ago. For diabetics, you can rebuild your pancreas and be free of it. I'm sure the pharmaceutical companies wouldn't be happy with it. You know what? They'd be very happy with it if they got a piece of it, if they were a part of it, Ruby. But yeah, in general, they would not. And I'm sure they would not like it. But on the other hand, you could harvest a heart, a lung, kidneys, livers, pancreas, colons. I mean, the whole 9 yards. Paul, I also live in Texas, South 105 by 9 a.m. Also 400. Wow. Everybody's getting it. Yeah, Slick doesn't know. Not a second. That's what I need. I need a second brain. I need to replace my old brain. That's what I need. Is that just for a month's bill? Yeah. Skip it all. Was also a firearm for 14 years. Say what? No, I've never done any of that. Ruby, no, not this time. If the cloned cell comes from my own body, I see no problem. No rejection issues. Yeah. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff to consider in there. Mike, one word, religion. Yeah, that's what stops it. Absolutely does. Maybe the ethical reason is to where will this cloning stop and extend life expectancy to, well, that may be. So you put a timestamp on it, At 100, you're going to the, to the glue factory like they do with the old horses. Okay? I don't know. Ruby. It's something I've never looked into. And quite frankly, since we can't, do it. It's not something I'm worried about because I'm definitely not going to make it to 100. Ruby, yes, $400 to $500 a month in the winter. It's about the same. I have to send 2 central air heat pumps and underground pool, an in-ground pool. Everything medical is available on Temu for 99 cents. Arms, legs, lungs are $2.99. There you go, Michael. Let us know how that goes. Mike, I gave that exact same mug as a gift. You know, the story behind this mug is kind of unique. It's not my favorite mug. I used to have, this is a Disney mug. My daughter gave me a Disney mug many years ago, many years ago. All right. And it was green and it was the Grinch. All right. You know, the Grinch Stole Christmas. And I had that mug for years and years and years and years. And then accidentally it got broken. And by the time it got broken, there were no more available. And we have looked a ton of times trying to replace that mug and never been able to find it. So my daughter bought me this one, this particular mug. Yep, Olaf, another Disney character. So Scott worked in engineering spaces for a couple ships, applied for disability, tinnitus, got denied, waiting on a secondary claim review. Hopefully it'll go somewhere. We wish you the best of luck, Skip It All. The Chinese are harvesting body parts, prisoners. That's a rumor, but can you prove it? Can you prove it? That's the issue. Michael, is that free delivery and warranty with Temu? I wonder. How do you get free delivery? How do you get warranty on an arm or a leg? Horace, I stand corrected on the libel issue. A Pinoy barstool lawyer claimed he lost a libel suit because even though his accusation was true, the other person's reputation was irrevocably damaged. A Pinoy barstool lawyer claimed he lost a libel suit because even though his accusation was true, the other person's reputation was, yes. There you go. Extra cost. Thanks, Scott. The ringing in my ears, confusing the voices. Yeah, you know what? The voices in your ears are more important than the ringing. Best to get that fixed. Paul says my electric is 16.9 cents per kilowatt hour. I watched a YouTube video, Philippine Vlogger said his electric is 25 cents per kilowatt hour. I haven't looked at mine lately. Okay, folks, we are at an hour and 32 minutes. There are other live streams going on. We're going to let you go see and visit them. We thank all of you for dropping by. Please, if you're watching this in replay, give us your ideas, your opinions in the background, in the comments as to how you think this is going to be. All right? You guys take care. Have a great day. Best wishes to all of you.